Rehabilitation of the fifth metatarsal stress fracture. Our patient is a 23-year-old male presenting with lateral foot pain on weight bearing and palpation with associated mild swelling over the area. This has come on after a few heavy training weeks during footy pre-season. A stress fracture can be defined as a spontaneous fracture due to accumulation of stress on a healthy bone. It occurs during high activity periods with little rest. The bone is vulnerable to fracture as the remodeling process has been disturbed. Fifth metatarsal fractures are the most common and occur from running, kicking, and acceleration. Our patient has a zone 3 proximal diaphyseal stress fracture that is type 1. This is what we'll focus on today. Our risk factors are seen here, and we can see there is extrinsic and intrinsic factors to be considered. Red flags to be ruled out include the avulsion fracture or a high-risk fracture such as the Jones fracture that may require surgical intervention. A pathological fracture and bone healing potential also needs to be considered before the rehab is commenced. Yellow flags also need to be considered as an injury and immobilization may have some psychological impact on the athlete. We also need to consider their goals and what they enjoy doing and tailor their program to suit these needs. Safety concerns for the progression of the rehab are addressed within each phase. We have provided progressions and regressions appropriate for each phase. The patient should not progress to the next phase until they are completely comfortable and pain is at a minimum.
We are doing stage 1 fifth met stress fracture rehab. So the first exercise here we're going to show Aiden. Aiden, is it okay? We're going to get you to flex your feet up towards your head.
Yeah.
Down to your toe and feet pointing inwards and back out. So that is taking you through the active ROM of the ankle. The next section we want to do is squeezing the toes in and flaring them out. So this is encouraging range of motion through the affected foot, and for this exercise the moon boot can be taken off, but in this first 1 to 4 weeks the moon boot would be on for all daily living, as we want bone healing to be promoted in an immobilized state. This is the second exercise for stage 1. We are aiming to stretch the hamstrings and calf here. Aiden, so I just want you to move into a position of extended knee and bringing the toes down with the TheraBand there. So this can be performed for 15 to 20 seconds, 3 times both legs, and twice a day is optimal, again just performing within a pain-free range of motion. So the third exercise for stage 1 is foam rolling of the gastrocs. So what we want to do here is rolling up and down along the muscle belly. Once a spot is found, we can stop there and just roll side to side. So this can be performed for about 60 to 90 seconds on both legs, twice a day again. We're just aiming to reduce the hypertonicity around the ankle. Phase 2 is performed within weeks 4 till 8 post-injury, and the patient would be removing their moon boot at this point in order to weight bear again. All ADLs can start to be restored, and the exercises we will be showing you were performed in weight bearing positions but still performed within a pain-free range of motion. This is exercise 1 for stage 2. We are continuing on with toe flexion, but now in a weight-bearing position, activating the intrinsic foot muscles. Aiden, I'd like you to squeeze in your toes, gather up the towel, and then release it. Keep working all the way along the towel. So this can be performed 3 times on both feet, again twice a day. This is exercise 2 for stage 2. It is step up monster walks. Aiden, what I'd like you to do is just get a bit of flexion through the knees and maintain that band tension by applying some outward pressure. As you step up, we want to get the 3rd, 4th and 5th toe on the red towel, and stepping back down, maintain the tension. This exercise activates the hip stabilizers as well as encourages some pronation through the affected foot in order to decrease the weight-bearing loading of the 5th metatarsal. This can be regressed by not stepping up, just stepping forward onto the red towel, and it can be progressed by increasing the TheraBand band strength. This is exercise 3 for stage 2, a single leg star excursion. So Aiden, what I'd like you to do is with your 3 toes on the towel, aiming your other foot as far forward as possible on this front line. Nice and controlled motion, stepping out to sideline and around the back as well. So these 3 points are performed nice and slow, and we're going to do this 3 times each of those 3 touches. This can be performed 3 times a day. It is encouraging proprioception through the affected foot. Again, a little bit of pronation to decrease the weight bearing on the 5th metatarsal, and controlled muscle activation through the range of motion of the foot and ankle.
Right, so this is phase 3. This is the skill acquisition and proprioception carrying on from stage 2. In this stage there is no boot, so what we're trying to do is take the affected ankle and foot through its range of motion and improve proprioception of the intrinsic and extrinsic muscles. Right, so the first exercise we're going to do is a single leg hop onto the balance board on the affected foot. This will increase proprioception and strengthen up the extrinsic muscles of the foot. So what you do is stand 1 pace back from the board, lift up the affected foot, and it's just a straight lunge, hold for 1 second and come back. Now the repetition of this will be 10 times or until fatigue, as Aiden is doing now, and we'll do this 3 times during the day. Now the second exercise we're going to do is variation of step up walk. So what we're going to do is take Aiden through, he's going to walk on his heels. Now what this is doing is working the fibularis, tertius and tibialis anterior muscles. Again, acting on proprioception and strengthening. Now the next exercise we're going to do for this is just on your toes, so toe walking. This is again working gastrocs and affecting the proprioception which has been lost from the prolonged immobility.
Okay, so this is the return to sport phase. So this is the phase where we're starting to make things a little more functional. Aiden wants to get back into Australian rules football, which involves running and jumping. So these are the kinds of exercises we're going to incorporate into this phase. Alright, so this is the first exercise. We've just got Aiden doing jump ropes. We're going to ask him to do 10 at a time, times 3 sets. And we're going to ask him to do that twice a day. To progress this, we can get him to increase segmentally the amount of jumps, and we can also increase the cadence, getting him to do more jumps per second. Alright, so this is the single leg target jumps. So we're just going to ask Aiden to, just with 1 leg, try and hop and meet this target with his foot, and then go sequentially onto the next target. So this can be progressed by going faster, so he can increase his cadence. It can also be progressed by increasing the distance in between the targets. And then eventually when he's feeling confident, he can actually go backwards as well. Alright, so now we've got Aiden running. At the start, we just want him on a low cadence, and also a low distance, and we also want to get him just running in a linear fashion. So ideally, maybe on the football ground from one side to the other. As a progression, we're going to eventually get him to increase his cadence, increase his distance. At the start he'll be 200 metres, we can increase that gradually. And then eventually we can get him running in a non-linear fashion, maybe around the football